Hey guys, are you ready for today's January 14th, 2019, 7:17 p.m. Central Time. Here's the deal. This came up in my inbox again in Versus. Write that person back. Figured I'd do a video because I am entirely too lazy to try and type all this shit out. Now, I did a video on this on my Are You Ready For It channel that got deleted by YouTube. I rewatched it. Could have re-uploaded it, but I didn't explain why I felt the way I did. And perhaps it's not that my opinion is morphed whatsoever, but it'd be hypocritical of me to go down the road and say no or yes. And you'll see what I mean in a second. For most of you who have been on my channel for a very long time or recent, who knows, who cares, you're on my Patreon account, whatever, you know that I served as a Marine. I was in the Marines for 8 years. I morphed into an intelligence position. I am very, very cocky about my service. I'll tell you that right now. Meaning I earned that fucking position. That position was not open to women until the mid-2000s. I was not only recommended, it was not to, hey, that's open, I want to go for it, okay? I was recommended. I didn't even know that position existed for women, period, because I was in an intelligence position. So it was a lateral move to a degree. You had to be a certain rank, age, be able to pass certain clearances through the FBI so you could hold certain security clearances. You had to have certain education, certain you had to have a lot of shit. Okay, you had to have a lot of shit. So being recommended, I actually trained prior to that position even opening, okay, for a year prior to make sure I had all the information, all the requirements and shit done. So when that position opened up, I just walked in. Now, was it a combat position? I would say no. It was. I didn't go on the front lines or anything, but yes, I was deployed. Yes, I was in, I guess you could say, combat positions. I would do very specific, I don't know how to say that without going into things. There were specific missions. Lack of a better term, we're just going to go with that. You'd go in, you'd go out type of situation. But there were people that would go in prior to us to kind of take care of certain things. If there were an issue, then we'd go in. But then there were a few times where those people who went in the first time did not take care of things. And there were a couple times that we went in first, because if they had gone in first, then they would have kind of alerted what we were doing. Okay? So, period. End of story. So that's the deal. So yes, I have been shot at. Yes, I have shot other people. So to say no is kind of hypocritical to a degree. But here's the deal. This is where the cockiness comes in. I know that over 50% of the people that watch this video, listen to this video, whatever you so choose to do, are not at my level of intelligence whatsoever. In fact, I will probably think you are a fucking retard, window-licking, basement-dwelling asswipe. Okay? 100%. Because I just have a higher standard of the type of people I hang around, the type of people I talk to, and just surround myself with, because I do not care for, can handle ignorance on any level. I just can't. And so basically this was an excellent article. Sister in Arms. Both these articles have pros and cons. This is the one that was sent to me, was The Perspective. I think it's like a feminist website. It's got pros and cons too, but basically at the end of it, it says, bottom line, while some women deserve to join the military combat units and could have a lot to contribute, the mixing of sexes have potential to compromise soldiers' safety. Do you think women belong in combat units? Okay. So they go into don't fix what's not broken. Political correctness has no place in the military. Totally agree with that. Potential misbehave. Got news for you. Misbehaving happens fucking everywhere. So that's kind of like whatever. Okay, whatever. If you're gonna get sexually assaulted, this is no different than, and that's just my opinion. In being a different position, I understand you're gonna spend a lot more time, okay, out with these guys and in the field, and there's a lot that could end up happening. I don't want to use certain terms, but I mean, meaning you could be tossed around between all of them. It just depends on how much they respect you, I guess you could say. And that's just, I gotta be honest with you, that is just the way the world works. However, I will say when I was in my position, I became brothers, true brothers with the people that I served with. There was only one woman that came into our area, if you want to call it that, our unit, temporarily and took the fuck off because she couldn't stand what was going on. They sexually harassed me. I sexually harassed them. Nobody ever fucking touched me, okay? And did it try and happen? Yeah, a couple times. One time my brother took care of him. The other time I broke his jaw. And then he had to go explain what happened to himself. So it takes a very specific, special woman to be in a position that you are going to be surrounded 100% by men, okay? And maybe a couple females here and there. And be deployed together for long periods of time or be segregated for long periods of time with them and all this shit. I mean, it really does. It really does. And this woman in combat, sisters in arms, okay? There's pros and cons in here. This is one of the pros that I think is very important to have, okay? And this is something that I brought to my position. It says cultural differences in demographics. Women are more effective in some circumstances than men, allowing women to serve doubles that talent pool for delicate and sensitive jobs that require interpersonal skills not every soldier has. Having a wider personnel base allows militaries to have the best and most diplomatic soldiers working to end conflict quickly. Now, I may not have been I couldn't bench as much as these guys could. Couldn't. I'm going to tell you that right now. Could not. Okay. I did what I had to do as far as test wise, testing and stuff. I actually was above what was required, but no, I was physically not able to do what some of these men did. However, I was the one person, but I earned that fucking position that was able to interrogate very, very effectively. For many reasons. So here's the deal. My one concern that was brought to my attention, didn't even have to be brought to my attention, but saying it out loud was kind of rough to hear, I gotta tell you, because it was scary. It brought it to reality, and I don't know how many people think about this, but if you're in a situation where you are in a combat role, you are overseas, you are on the front lines, you are face to face with someone, and you get taken, okay, and you get imprisoned as a woman, you are going to go through hell much further than men, and here's why. First of all, because they can do a lot more damage to you, okay? For example, and this was, again, didn't need to be brought to my attention, but it was. If you were taken and you were a prisoner of war, as a woman, you could be raped over and over and over again by God knows how many men. You could be impregnated. Depending on how long you have been captive, you may or may not, depends, have that child. You may be forced to go through childbirth. You may be forced to have an abortion and still continue to be raped. That's way more fucked up than any man will ever go through, period, as far as I'm concerned, in captivity and being a prisoner of war. So when these women, that's why I say it takes a very special woman to go into a combat role. I agree and I disagree because I think that bar should be very, very high, like it was for me. You cannot walk into these roles and have the military lower the bar because they are trying to be politically correct or allow women into a very specific role. That is totally unacceptable. If you cannot meet that bar or go over it, okay, you shouldn't be in this role. As far as I'm concerned, women that are going to go into combat need to have a higher bar, a higher standard than men, in my opinion, because so much can happen to a woman in a combat role in the situation I just said that you have to be mentally prepared. If they do nothing else by making that bar higher for women is to do mental tests, okay, versus the ability. Obviously, they need to hit the ability bar that guys do. But I think on a mental health aspect, if you even want to put it that direction, they need to be pushed much, much further than any man. Period. Because of the reason I said. Because of that, because you're going to be surrounded by guys that could possibly do something to you in your unit. You need to be able to hold your own. The men need to understand that you are able, meaning physically able, to have their back, okay? You should have to be put through hell and back to be in a combat role as a woman. That's my opinion. So I can't be hypocritical because yes, I was in combat situations, was not in a combat role. Combat situations. So if I say no, then I'm hypocritical. But like I said, very specific, very special woman needs to be in the combat role. Absolutely. 100%. I think there's people out there, there's women out there that can do it. 100%. But you have to be aware of what can happen to you with your unit and with the enemy. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great day.